Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from Am I the A-Hole? Story 1 is by Adam Cadaver. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law not to place her own gift tags on Christmas presents I ordered for my children? So basically, I had ordered all my children's Christmas presents online to be sent to my in-laws' home, as we are spending Christmas there this year. My mother-in-law said she didn't mind wrapping them all up before we got there. We arrived here yesterday and all was well. After the kids got settled in their room, I got a chance to ask her about the presents. She told me that they were mostly all wrapped up with just a couple she needed to finish off and that they were stored in the basement. I did ask if she needed a hand finishing the rest off, but she insisted that I should rest after our journey. So I rejoined my husband in the sitting room. A couple hours later, she has gone to take a nap, so I went down to the basement to see how many had been wrapped, and like she said, there was still some left to wrap. But as I was checking some of the bigger presents, I noticed that they had already had gift tags taped to them. When I flipped the tags, they read, "From Grandma," on not just one, but all the bigger ones. So I immediately went and told my husband about what I had just found, and he said his mom had asked if she could put a few of her tags on, as she didn't want to disappoint her grandsons. My husband agreed that she could and told me that it isn't a big deal and that this is the only time we will be spending Christmas over at theirs. They live about 4 hours away. I'm mad that most of the bigger presents are things that I had ordered for a long time and had put a lot of thought into and had some toys personalized with their names, which cost a lot of money. Anyway, my mother-in-law came back downstairs from her nap, so I basically told her I didn't think it's right for her to just do that without asking me also. She got super upset and told me that I was being selfish, and then tried guilt-tripping by saying this could be one of the last Christmases she will have. She's old, but not that old. She's 71. She told me that I'm ruining Christmas already. I don't know, I'm trying my best to appear as nothing is wrong around my kids. I do feel bad that I may be overreacting, but I don't know what to do. Should I leave her tags on and apologize, or put my own tags on and tell her she should have bought more? This is turning into a nightmare. Okay, so first of all, you should not have shipped all the gifts to her house. You should have wrapped them at your house, packed them in the car with you, and brought them. It is 1,000,000% selfish of her to be doing this with your gifts. You ordered the gifts, you put the thought into the gifts, you got these things. She honestly, at this point, deserves to have let down your grandsons. She doesn't want to let them down, she doesn't want to disappoint them. Take the tags off and put your own on them. If she wants her contribution to be on the labels, you can write on them, "From Mom, gift wrapped by Grandma." That is all that she did. Did she not get anything else for your kids? I'm not going to lie, when I was reading this story at first, I wasn't sure that this actually happened, but this sort of thing does happen. There's been many stories of this same sort of thing happening over the years. But my question is, how did you know that the big wrapped gifts were from you? How did you know that they weren't actually gifts from her to the kids? Until you went and said something to your husband and he said, "Oh yeah, I told her it was fine." Then you knew, but how do you know that these big wrapped gifts were yours? There's a little bit of a disconnect there for me. But yeah, in general, people down in the comments were like, what is this person doing? That is not okay. And the best comment, highlighted in gold, was by Sudden Pomegranate 95. Are you joking? Rip those gift tags off and tell mother-in-law she can buy her own gifts if she doesn't want to disappoint them. This is beyond cheeky, and I can guarantee she's rifled through the presents and chosen the biggest and most expensive ones to prevent from Grandma. Absolutely not. Your husband is a massive a-hole, and the fact that they've discussed this behind your back is downright manipulative. I'm actually so angry on your behalf. That is pretty much my stance on it too. That's essentially stealing. If you guys are having Christmas at their house, then they can probably afford to get some decent gifts. And if they can't, you also need to raise your kids to understand that they may not like every gift they get. They're still going to be thankful for it. Like if they get them socks, if they get them a sweater, it's fine. They don't need to get them the best presents. That is generally not a grandparent's role, unless the parents have talked to the grandparents and said, "Hey, the kids want this, can you help us get it?" And you have the right to put your name on it. That can be discussed beforehand. But that didn't happen here. They tried to do it behind your back. Not cool, not acceptable. She's causing the rift. She's ruining Christmas. You have a right to be mad about this. I would definitely put tags on it and say, from Mom, gift wrapped by Grandma. Our next story today is by Direct North 2473. Am I the a-hole for refusing to ban alcohol from Christmas? We have a large mixed family. My wife is Mexican, so her family starts dropping in on Christmas Eve, and we host them for my family Christmas Day for dinner. It could be over 50 people in and out of our house in those 2 days. There's a lot of mixing of cultures because who doesn't want tequila and tamales? I'm often gifted drinks and my wife likes wine. My older brother Mike started dating this new woman who has children. I'll call her Jenny. Jenny wants to bring her 3 children that I have only met briefly over the summer. But she said her children are not allowed around people who drink. So now Mike wants me to ban all alcohol at Christmas from my house. My mother backs him up, saying it's unnecessary to have all those people around children, even though I have 2 of my own and my children love the loud, bustling house at Christmas and playing with their cousins. There's no other children on my side of the family, so Jenny's children are like my family, and we need to adjust my holiday to make Jenny and them feel welcome. I don't drink, but absolutely not. The story isn't over, I just had to say that. Another issue I was told to talk about is my kids' belief in Santa. Santa wasn't really a thing in my wife's culture, so we did away with it before my wife felt like the whole naughty and nice thing with Santa doesn't go with her Mexican Catholic roots. So Santa is more of a symbol of Christmas for my children and their cousins. I understand that Jenny is really into Santa and Elf on a Shelf. My children are 5 and 8 and Jenny's are 4 through 10, and I don't know how my children or their cousins would react to all of that if it was brought up. I said maybe next year, maybe Mom could host our family's Christmas or my brother or Jenny could if they're still together, but I don't feel like setting rules in my house about tequila and making kids pretend Santa and Elf on the Shelf is real or talk to their cousins about it. It sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, so I think Jenny and her kids should stay home. And you hit the nail on the head right there. Why on earth should a group of 50 people be controlled by one woman and her 3 kids? And her kids are not just not allowed around people with alcohol. She doesn't want them around people with alcohol. Let's be clear here. They're not just born with this innate we can't be around alcohol thing. I'm not a drinker. I don't like when people get plastered. I find it generally obnoxious when there's heavy drinking at parties. But because her 3 kids are not allowed to be around people who are drinking, 47 other people need to not be able to drink that night? Absolutely insane. Either get a babysitter for your kids for the night so you can go have a drink, because it sounds like she might need one. Or just stay home yourself. They can have 46 people there drinking and having a good time, and you and your 3 kids can stay at home. More than likely, if that happens, your husband will stay with you, so they'll have 45. There is no reason an entire massive party that really likes to have tequila and tamales should have to change all that because you want to drag your kids along to the event? Down in the comments by Successful Activity 8, not the a-hole, it's your house and therefore your party. If this woman doesn't like that, she can either stay home or find a babysitter and have fun for the first time in her life. Underneath that by the OP, I feel bad for her and her kids being excluded, but she can't really expect me to go around policing my guests over drinking. Underneath that by Froyo OK8902, you aren't excluding her. She's excluding herself. Don't feel bad for people like that. And finally, underneath that, by Juana Blanca. This is such a good point that most of us need to hear now and then. We feel bad for others, but that can blind us to the fact that they make their own choices. Some people are really good at putting the responsibility for their choices on others. Yeah, it's Christmas, it's a massive party, it's at someone's house that likes to have tequila and tamales. That's what they're gonna have. They don't need to have you there, they're gonna have tequila and tamales. And this is from somebody who just doesn't drink. Don't rain on somebody else's parade because you decided you're not allowing your kids to be around people who are drinking. It's so selfish of her to expect 47 people to not have their enjoyment at a Christmas party because she doesn't want to allow her children to be around people who are drinking. And honestly, she could have really good reason for not wanting her kids to be around it. Maybe her previous boyfriend or ex-husband was a severe alcoholic and hurt the kids or something. So she has good reason to not do it. But stay home or get a babysitter. Do not expect the entire party to change for you. Our last story today is by Dazed 2050. Am I the a-hole for calling to check on my wife while she's out late? The other night, I took my kids to a holiday party that my wife didn't want to attend. No issues from me, I supported her not going. She texted me around 7 p.m. that she went to the mall and ran into an old female friend. They were going to grab a drink together. I said that was great and told her to have fun. Fast forward, it's midnight and she isn't home yet. I'm having a hard time falling asleep, so I call her just to make sure she is okay and having a good time. She doesn't answer. I don't leave a voicemail. I don't call her back. No text. I just leave it alone. She comes home at around 1 a.m. and is furious at me. She says things like, I stole this night out from her and she doesn't owe me anything. She says it's weird that I needed to call her and I shouldn't be checking in on her while she's out. We've been married 15 years and obviously have marriage issues to work out, but I'm having a hard time understanding why a phone call at midnight was so upsetting to her. When I try to explain my intentions, she just says I'm talking my way out of things and trying to control the situation. She even said, "You think you own me." I'm really hurt and confused. Am I the a-hole? What are your suspicions at first with this story? And in the comments section, there is definitely a piece of information that adds to that. I'm not going to actually show or directly read the comments, but apparently this guy's wife of 15 years has had issues with infidelity in the past. So with her getting mad because you called one time at midnight just to make sure she was okay, big red flag. I can promise you right now, while she was having this outing, she was having an inning. And I apologize if anybody thinks that's a little crude, but I think that is the case here. This is just a big red flag case. You're not the a-hole for calling one time to check on her. Anyway, our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have an incredible day.